The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
He's gone back to the roots of the Cholos.
There was one point where he's waiting and Hoovie's still doing all that springboard shit. And he's just like sitting there looking up at him. The NWO has 4 members, but they won't be announcing the 4th member until he comes out. And if Team WCW has 3 members, they may not have a 4th.
So then Hogan spray paints Elizabeth. Then he gets Elizabeth's face and tells her that she's nothing, while the giant barks at her like a dog. Then he grabs a microphone. He calls Savage and Elizabeth losers and lowlives. He calls Savage and Elizabeth 2 pieces of trash, and he spits on Elizabeth. So that brings us to our Wrestling Rewind. And this week is WCW's Fall Brawl, 1996 War Games. And War
Which I was confused on.
Why is that?
Well, from what I remember, War Games was a different pay-per-view than Fall Brawl.
Oh, it is.
So I was looking for War Games, and then I found War Games, and then I was like, no, wait, I'm supposed to be watching Fall Brawl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was confused.
When we started doing this, I had that same issue, if it makes you feel any better.
Oh, that's good. I got to figure it out now.
Oh, good. So war is in the air. And WCW and NWO, they have a video package. And they play that awesome WCW music. Din, 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 din. They show that the NWO just wrecking shit. And it's revealed that DiBiase and the Giant have joined the ranks. And it also appears that Sting has turned on Lex Luger. And they wrecked a lot of cars. Seemed to be their main go-to, was to wreck somebody's car. And then we go to...
That's how you get them.
Then we go to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And it's Shivani, Dusty, and Heenan opening the show. Tony says that war has been declared and it's WCW versus the NWO. Dusty says NWO seems to be in control, especially now that Sting has joined them. War Games will reveal it all. And Heenan, he says that this might be the NWO's last match because of the 4 horsemen. And then they replay Nick Patrick. He interrupts a match. He leads Lex Luger to the back to get jumped by Sting. Hogan and Hall and Nash show up and they just beat the shit out of Luger. And they show NWO fucking up Luger's car. And it's basically the same stuff that they just literally played.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then DDP versus Chavo Guerrero opens up the pay-per-view with a grudge match. And apparently DDP lost his championship Lord of the Ring thing to Eddie Guerrero. So I guess Eddie Guerrero gets a world heavyweight title match now, or does he just get the ring?
I don't know, but it's impressive that he still had it.
Like, it's impressive that the motherfucker didn't get a title shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's impressive that he has not cashed it in yet.
Yeah, going for Damian Priest levels of not cashing it in. So Chavo whips DDP with a belt, and the ref didn't give a shit. DDP got a huge pop after a top rope clothesline. It seemed like he's starting to get over.
Yeah, he has the diamond pose thing down.
Yeah.
Also, his music, by the way, awful close to Teen Spirit. Like, just a few chords off of Teen Spirit. Yeah.
Yes. That's why I like DDP. Like, oh, he's got Nirvana as his theme music. Oh, that's not Nirvana. Sure sounds like it, though. Sounds like Nirvana's cover band that just can't get it right.
That's how you avoid those copyrights.
Yep.
Like Vanilla Ice. No, it's different. It goes dun 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 dun. Not dun 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 dun. Even you doing it that way, it sounds the same.
And DDP killed Chavo with a sit-down powerbomb, and he goes for a diamond cutter. Chavo reverses it into a backslide position. Then DDP stomps on Chavo's foot. It finally hits the diamond cutter. Pretty decent match. It just felt like it was forever.
Yeah, it's definitely a decent match. I also set up for that powerbomb spot. Great looking spot. And then, as always, I like how DDP can pull that diamond cutter out of anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like a reversal. Oh, there it is. Boom.
Gene Okerlund gives us a special report, and he covers the NWO's hostile takeover.
Again.
Again. So Hall shows up. Hall gets into a confrontation with Sting. Hall brings Nash. Nash powerbombs Bischoff. Hogan joins NWO at Bash at the Beach. NWO repeatedly attack wrestlers during their matches and in the backstage areas. They use bats and even threw poor Rey Mysterio into the trailer. Then Savage tried to give chase by hanging on to the NWO limo as it speeded away. And I still wonder what his plan was.
He wasn't thinking about that far ahead.
The Outsiders beat Sting and Luger at the Hog Wild pay-per-view, thanks to some questionable actions by Nick Patrick. Hogan takes the WCW title from the Giant, beats up his best friend, the, what's his face? Booty Man, and graffitied the belt. He desecrated it. Then the NWO only increased their attacks on the WCW wrestlers, spray paint the NWO logo on everybody and everything. DiBiase and Giant join. The nail in the coffin, seemingly, for WCW is when their franchise, Sting, turned on Lex Luger. And Gene says the routine War Games match has become one of survival. So
I like how they documented all this. It really caught me up to speed on what was happening on the TV, like the week to week. And then, they documented it. It started with Hall, then in came Nash, and then it came Hogan, and then they just keep building on the pieces.
They're growing. They're not yet to the point where they have Disco Inferno. It's still interesting.
Yeah, I was just like watching. It's like, he's going to have a run with the NWO later. He's going to be in.
I think they all do at one point.
Yeah, pretty much everybody. I was thinking, like, who was not? Like, obviously, Flair, he wasn't ever in it.
Are you sure he wasn't in the Wolfpack?
I don't think so. I think he was the Horseman the whole time.
Okay.
And then I also like how Sting was the savior. He's the only one that can combat the NWO. Since Sting has been like the mainstay of the company. I mean, how they're doing it now, it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Your mainstays have been like Luger and Sting.
Well, Luger's still kind of new.
Yeah.
He's only been there a year, I believe, at this point.
Oh, and Ric Flair. He's also pretty much a WCW mainstay, so...
Yeah, but Flair's old.
Them defending the company just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
The OGs. Maybe we should have thrown out some Barry Windham, which we haven't even seen. He was just always one of my favorite names. Like
Barry Windham?
Not necessarily like the wrestling matches, but just like the name Barry Windham. That's a wrestler's name.
I liked when he was a Blackjack. For some reason, Blackjack Windham resonated with me. So the next match is Scott Norton versus Ice Train. And it's a submission match. If you'll recall, they wrestled at Hog Wild, where Scott Norton just fucked up Ice Train and his injured shoulder. That was pretty much it. Teddy Long was chanting "Ice, Ice" from the floor, and I really thought he missed the opportunity to shout "Ice, Ice, baby." I was disappointed in him for that.
Well, it sounds like he had a failed attempt of trying to get the crowd behind.
Yeah.
Ice Train.
Ice, ice, ice.
Yeah.
If he would have said "Ice, Ice, baby," that might have worked.
Maybe.
The referee had a microphone to ask Norton and Ice Train if they would quit, but I'm not sure that was a live microphone. And if it was, they didn't use it very well.
Yeah, it wasn't on, I don't think, because, you couldn't hear him.
Well, there's a point where the referee had it right in Ice Train's face, and he's screaming, and nothing.
Yeah. They didn't have it on.
It was very weird seeing two gargantuans just apply submission holds, especially Norton. Norton does not look like a submission specialist.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's like you got two of the literally biggest men in your company who should just be bumping meat. And your idea is like, let's do a submission match between these two.
Right. I mean, it makes sense because, the whole shoulder injury thing that they kind of played into at Hog Wild. But it doesn't make sense because these two men just, I don't know. I'm going to beat you so bad I'm going to learn a submission hold.
Yeah. Leave it at an I quit match. I think you can get away with that. I'm going to just beat you down until you quit.
Or a last man standing match.
Yeah. That would be good too. I don't think they've had those yet in WCW.
Probably because they're under the impression that you have to pin them outside the ring and then get back.
They don't have a good track record yet. Like, we don't want to do that match.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
All right, so Juventud Guerrero versus Conan is the next match, and it's billed for the AAA Heavyweight Championship, but I didn't see a sign of said championship, so I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, I guess Conan was the champion, but for whatever reason, he didn't even come out with the belt.
Yeah. AAA's, they have, regulations, so maybe they don't want it shown on WCW TV or something.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm sure there was a good reason for it, but
a reason.
I just found it
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it Oh, this is for a title, but the title's not even there.
Right. Did they even mention it?
No, the little graphic came up, but that was
Okay.
pretty much about it.
And it appears that Conan has joined the Dungeon of Doom and has become full cholo. And Tenay
Their
even
words, their words. They actually said it on television that he's cholo.
Yeah, Tenay pointed it out in the whitest way imaginable. He's gone back to the roots of the cholos of Mexico. Oh, thanks, Tenay.
Hey, he was talking about low riders. It's like, this is who he really is. He's a cholo.
This is my favorite version of Conan. The cholo with the jinkos and the hat.
Yeah, the only thing that was missing was the rolling clothesline. But
And the
maybe that's
tequila
coming.
sunrise.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. He's evolving. Psychosis was originally supposed to be in this match, but I guess Conan took him out. And Juventud is trying to get revenge. And clearly this is the superior version of Conan. His attitude and offense is just intense. And he powerbombed the shit out of Juvi. Like, he powerbombed him outside the ring. He danced around. Did Viva Mexico. And then Jimmy Hart says, Viva la raza.
He sure did. Jimmy Hart said that.
Yes. Fucking idiot.
It's like, what is he even doing out there?
Right. Well, he's part of the
This is
Dungeon of
of
Doom.
Yeah.
So Conan powerbombs Juvi from one ring to the other, which was awesome. And then he just flat out powerbombed him like a rag doll. There was a tossing German suplex he did when Juvi tried to do the little body scissor roll-up thing that the luchadors do. And Conan just grabbed him in mid-sequence and just turned it into a German suplex. He just threw the little fucker around.
There was a moment in this match that I didn't get whatsoever. And it was off of the chain German suplexes that Conan did. And then, yeah, he released it on the second one. And then Juvi just, like, immediately no-sold it and rolled out of the ring. It's like,
Probably
what the hell?
Probably because they were supposed to go out of the ring.
Well, it was like the weirdest thing. So he rolls out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just walking out there. And then the referee is talking to Conan. And this went on for, like, a few minutes. Or not a few minutes, but long enough to be noticeable. And he was counting, too. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, maybe we really hurt him. Did you see it?
Yeah.
If it's the same part, I thought he rolled out of the ring just so Conan couldn't pin him. That was my thought.
I don't know. It would have been more that he was hurt, if anything, because, yeah, completely no-sold the offense, and then the ref's counting, and he's, like, out there with his hand on his hips, like he's pissed off.
Oh, yeah, then he got hurt.
Yeah. And then, yeah, finally gets back in the ring, so.
Well, Conan kicked out of Juvi's 450 splash. After the 450 splash, Juvi did a very, very less impressive twisty splash thing that didn't work either. And then Conan used Samoa Joe's move that retired Tyson Kidd.
Muscle Buster.
Thank you. And then Conan finally won with a modified splash mountain from the top rope, which they called a power drop. And it was kind of like a video game at the end where you just kept doing moves till you finally won. I felt he'd hit a move, tried to pin him. No. Hit another move. No. Then he finally hit that move. Okay, that he did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's me, but I think the timing seemed a little off in this match. It seems like there were parts where Conan was just like waiting for Juvi to do a lot of his shit.
Well, since you've already marked up, there was definitely times where he was waiting on the offense. There was one point where he's waiting and Juvi's still doing all that springboard shit. And he's just like sitting there looking up at him.
Yeah, it was just kind of hokey.
Yeah, and then I don't know how many times Juvi would do a pin and like Conan's foot's like on the rope already. It's like out of position. I don't know. Maybe that was supposed to be part of it. So like his ring awareness. Because like there was one where Conan's hanging on the rope. He does a 450 splash. And then Conan goes in the ring and then he pins him, but his foot is on the rope. So the count never started. You know, you go and do that move and then you don't have the ring awareness to pull him out a little bit. But I don't know if that was on purpose or not. But yeah, there's definitely spots where he's like doing his taxes, waiting for him to do all the springboard shit.
It seemed like he was almost getting bored.
Yeah. And then there was one so blatant because the camera was on Conan. You don't see what's happening, but he's looking up for like, I don't know, 10 seconds. And then finally, end frame comes Hoovy.
I do know who he gets better.
Okay. I was just going to ask, was he always this bad? And I wouldn't say bad. It's just, was he always this delayed? Because it definitely wasn't the case with, Rey Mysterio. He was doing the springboard shit, but, the guy wasn't sitting there looking for 10 seconds while he's bouncing around.
Right. Mysterio is a different level, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might be misremembering how good Hoovy was.
We'll see. That was like our first time seeing him, so
right.
He has time.
Well, after that, it's Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit in the Battle of the Chris's. And Jericho's theme was something else.
I actually didn't hear it.
Oh, it's dun 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 dun. Just very generic and boring. I could see why he sings his own theme song now.
There's that, but the Chris Jericho with the won't break the walls down. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. That's because WWE has like fantastic. Well, they did. I don't know so much about music now.
WCW did. Like I said, I don't think they concentrated too much on the music aspect, which is a mistake because your music is very important. I mean, Chris Benoit's music was great.
I don't know how true this is or not, but I seem to remember Jimmy Hart being responsible for a lot of the music. And if that's true, it makes sense because the motherfucker seems to be involved in a lot of shit.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
So I can see him not being, having the time to break the fucking walls down for Chris Jericho. Whereas WWE, they had a dedicated guy just for music.
Yeah, that's fair.
Benoit, he was over pretty heavy in this match. And he looks like the Benoit that I remember. That grizzled ex-hockey player, no teeth.
Jacked up.
Looks like he just smacked the shit out of you. And he did a lion tamer to Jericho.
Yeah, I wrote down, because I remember last week we asked the question if we think that Jericho got the lion tamer from Chris Benoit because he did it last week. And now this week, I wrote down, now I'm 100% certain that he got the Walls of Jericho from Chris Benoit because Benoit did it on him.
Yep. And Jericho did his classic springboard dropkick while Benoit was on the apron. And then Jericho attempted what I can only describe to you as a trust fall onto Benoit. He was on the floor. And then Jericho whacked his shoulder on the ring apron. And he's a lucky son of a bitch. He could have not been the future AEW, whatever the fuck he is. That's for sure. Benoit did a chop, and Heenan said that they could hear the impact all the way from Vietnam. And Dusty, of all people, gave him shit for it. Oh, you're saying something silly. Okay, Dusty, sit down. I am sitting. Well, sit down further. Jericho's wild scream when he clotheslined Benoit after missing the lion salt was funny as shit to me. He's just like, ah! Shivani called a Frankensteiner type maneuver, which I thought was brilliant. And Benoit won with a back-to-belly superplex. Jericho was on the top rope. Benoit pushed him so his nuts landed on the steel parts of the ring ropes. And then he did his suplex. And it was refreshing to see a hungry Jericho versus the very, very full version we see today.
That's what you did there.
Yeah, I know. And for my money, I think his best stuff was in WCW. But that's just me.
Okay. I think his early WWE run was best. Beating The Rock and Austin in the same night. That annoying-ass goatee. Yeah, I like that they finished the match on a belly-to-back suplex off the top rope. And they sold it like, well, he ain't getting up from that. That's it. I just like the way that it was finished that way. Like, that move was so definitive. Once he hit it, then you knew it was over. As opposed to now, they do like a Canadian destroyer from the top rope, and they'll kick out at 2. It
also helped that he got crotched on the ropes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, they treated that move like it was so high impact that there was no way he was getting up. And yeah, this was the Chris Benoit, the Wolverine Chris Benoit, basically. Oh, I found it funny that he comes out by himself for the most part. I know last pay-per-view he didn't, but for the most part, he comes out by himself. Yeah, he's still a member of the Four Horsemen. He's a member of the Horsemen, but he goes and wins the matches on his own, which is
pretty much
a good touch there.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Mongo does that as well.
No, yeah, Deborah pretty much.
She didn't really do anything, though. I don't remember her interfering too much.
Oh.
She always held the puppy.
By the way, Mongo McMichael's entering into the NFL Hall of Fame. So congrats to him. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but congrats.
Last I heard, to a degree, he's still alive, I guess.
Well, there you go. So yeah, he is Making his way into the Hall of Fame of the NFL.
It's deserving. Super Callow versus Rey Mysterio Jr. follows the two Chris's, and it's for the Cruiserweight Championship. Turns out that Super Callow was given his name by a rap group, Callow.
Well, why was Dallo written on his back with a D?
I don't know. There was Dallo on his back, but his pants said Callow. I don't know if Dallo, Callow. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish.
He was stupid.
Yep. He got a boring chant early on, super early on. So the beginning of the match, Callow dumps Ray out of the ring with a clothesline, and this dumb fan went, "Oh!" So then later, Callow did a somersault to the outside in the same area, and the same fan said, "Hey, he was waiting for that."
I didn't hear this guy.
And then
maybe I wasn't paying attention.
He later yelled at Ray, "Speak Spanish!" I don't know if it was him or one of his little merry friends, but somebody got their face in the camera. So yeah, Mysterio won with a Frankenstein roll up. Cool how he bounced around both rings to do it, but so unnecessary to do so. Mysterio talked shit to Malenko after the match. You better watch it. And this match was ruined by that idiot fan for me. And Callow looked like an idiot. Yeah, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, there's this Callow guy that was like, I don't know. And then, yeah, he had the stupid glasses on a mask, by the way. He had his glasses and then his little Kango hat.
Yeah.
That was also a part of his mask. I don't know. Didn't care much for him. I do think it was funny that basically today he said, in Mexico, they do the mask versus mask match. And he said this during the Ray match. I think it's funny because, I think we're pretty close to Ray being unmasked, so.
I don't know how close we are to that.
Well, I guess when we get into LWO era.
Yeah.
So Conan's already Cholo, so.
Conan's but he was Cholo well before Ray lost his mask. Jericho feuds with Malenko first, so that needs to happen. And then I think he feuds with Mysterio, and he takes his mask. Then he takes Hoovie's mask. I think all the luchadors just get unmasked.
Yeah, it's like, get them damn masks off.
But they're important. No, fuck you. Get those masks off.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny because, yeah, they're going to do the unmasking thing. And it was only in WCW that I remember there was such a big unmasking epidemic.
I don't know if it was Vince or Bischoff, but they, completely just shit all over that culture.
Boy, did they, yeah.
So Nasty Boys versus Harlem Heat face each other for the World Tag Team Championship. And I think Super Callow should join the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, he did fit in. I think this is the last time we see him, if I'm being honest, but...
Oh, no. He sticks around for a minute.
Oh.
He's not, important or anything. He's probably, La Parka's level. He's in matches.
He was memorable.
He's on... La Parka's memorable, but I don't remember La Parka having, championship matches or being in the main event scene. He was always just around. That's kind of Callow. And speaking of Callow, the commentary team assure us that this will be the complete opposite of what we just saw with the Rey Mysterio Jr. match. And I think the story that they need to tell over and over again is how Harlem Heat and Colonel Robert Parker joined forces.
Yeah, how he's in the... Well, he's basically because of Sherry.
Oh, that's right. She was with them. He wanted to fuck her.
Yeah.
He was with Dirty Dick and Bunkhouse Buck.
Bunkhouse Buck, yeah.
Okay. Well, they need to go into that more detail. I want to see Robert Parker and Harlem Heat just interact on a daily basis, especially Stevie Ray. Speaking of Stevie Ray, I think he was far better than Booker. I think it's a shame that he never went to the WWF. Can you imagine Stevie Ray versus Farouk or Stevie Ray versus Austin?
You think Stevie Ray was the better of the Harlem Heat guys?
Oh, yeah.
He had a run after Booker T left.
Yeah, because Ahmed Johnson showed up. Stevie Ray and Ahmed teamed as the new Harlem Heat for a while, but I think Stevie Ray broke off into a single because Ahmed couldn't keep his weight down or something.
Yeah, so he did have a chance, but...
He didn't have a chance because it was all NWO. I think Stevie Ray was the leader of NWO at one point.
Golly, they go that far? They really tried to extend that to different heights. I will say my takeaway of this whole match was I don't know if you've picked up on this weekly, but every time Sherry's been on TV, I've hinted that she can get it. Well, this was the first time that she couldn't get it. She did not pull it off tonight.
Maybe it was the drugs. Well, Harlem Heat won. It was after Sherry hit Knobs with Parker's cane. There was a lot of interference in this match. Like every time Knobs or Sags would go outside the ring, Sherry and Parker would do something. Anytime there was a pin attempt, Sherry and Parker would distract the referee. And Knobs is an idiot, especially because he kept distracting the referee while Harlem Heat, Parker, and Sherry would beat the piss out of Sags.
One time they were working him good, and he's like over there
Watching
picking up the chair and shit. And they were just like working him good.
But yeah, still like Harlem Heat.
They remain champions.
I just want, oh, Stevie Ray, can you pass the biscuits, good sir? What, motherfucker? You want a fucking biscuit, bitch? Get this greasy motherfucker a biscuit. The idea you having sex with Sherry disgusts me. Mike Tenay has a segment in the locker room, and he brings in Randy Savage, who he calls the savior of Fall Brawl. And Savage is going to shift the balance of power away from the NWO by facing the Giant. Savage says, "We got to take the universe and turn it upside down. Isn't it ironic that the evil necessity of WCW, comes to the plate? Guaranteed I'm going to hit a grand slam against the Giant. Oh yeah. I'm going to bring it all the way to Halloween Havoc and take you, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and do what I do best. Rip your black heart out of your chest." And Tenay says it's pretty stupid looking ahead to Halloween Havoc when he's facing the Giant tonight. Savage says he's going to walk down the aisle tonight and cut the Giant in half. Good luck, Randy.
The NWO's Giant.
The Macho Man versus the Giant follows that, and it's billed as a special grudge match. They don't really say why it's a grudge match, which is kind of interesting.
Because WCW versus NWO, that's why.
That's it?
I guess.
Okay. So Savage comes out, and he's handing fans Slim Jims, so he's taking this match seriously. And Giant comes out, and he still has his Dungeon of Doom music, and then it just transitions into the NWO music. And as soon as it does, the Giant runs to the ring. So I don't know what the fuck that was. But as soon as he hits the ring, Savage whacks him. And Dusty brought up the fact that Nick Patrick is the referee, just as I was wondering if Nick Patrick would play a role in the finish. Spoiler, he doesn't. And Giant picks up Savage from the floor and just tosses him back into the ring over the ropes. It's kind of a highlight for me. And Savage got out of a bear hug by digging his thumb into the Giant's eye. No pun intended, savage looking. Mm-hmm. And Savage manages to slam the Giant and hit his big elbow drop. And as soon as that happens, Hogan comes out and lures Savage to the entrance area. And sure enough, Hall and Nash are waiting with a chair. Then the NWO brings Savage back to the ring so the Giant can pin him. Savage's status for Halloween Havoc is now in question.
So in this match, they played it out perfectly. Nick Patrick, he is talking to the Giant the whole time. They're over there beating the shit out of Macho Man.
Yeah, Dusty lambasted Patrick, and he's like, he showed his true colors. He's a turncoat. And then they showed the replay, and you see Nick Patrick, he has his back to everything. And the only thing he saw was the NWO bringing Savage back to the ring. He didn't see the assault.
Right.
Yeah, the Nick Patrick thing's brilliant.
Yeah, they're on to him, but he hasn't really shown his hand yet.
It's like this for a while. He just does like weird shit. Kind of like that chop. Like, what the fuck? But then there's matches where he's straight as an arrow, you know?
Yeah.
So after that, we get an appropriately timed Slim Jim commercial. And then the generic WCW music hits, which can only mean one thing. War Games! And as the cage lowers, we go to the locker room. Tenay wants to know who's replacing Sting. Flair says they're in the house that the Horsemen built, and no one's replacing Sting. Then Flair says that the ambulance are coming for the NWO and the Horsemen kick ass. Anderson says Luger lost a friend, the Horsemen lost a partner, and WCW lost an icon. But just like in life, if you want something done, you just do it yourself. Sting or no Sting. Then Sting has the audacity to show himself after attacking Luger on Nitro. Luger says he's been waiting for 6 days, so he better be short and sweet. Sting says he'll make it brief. It wasn't me, Lex. Lex says he looked Sting right in the eyes before he cheap shot at him. I know it was you. I can't believe you. And I don't believe you. I love that Luger's betrayed and fuming at Sting, but he still calls him Stinger.
Yeah, you gotta stay consistent.
With a straight face. I don't believe you, Stinger. Sting says, fine, don't believe me. I'll see you out there. And then Flair's reactivated. He calls Luger a lean, mean wrestling machine, and they're walking the aisle tonight. And he makes no mention of Sting's sudden appearance or any of the shit that Sting said. It's as if Sting was not there to Flair. And that brings us to the War Games match. NWO versus WCW. And Michael Buffer reads off a bunch of rules that nobody could remember, especially a bunch of drunk wrestling fans.
I did have some questions about those rules.
Oh, Jesus.
So first of all, he says the first interval is 5 minutes. 2 men will start, one from each team. And then in the second interval, which is like the next wave of people that are coming out, that's down to like 2 minutes, which I thought was way too quick, by the way. And well, it was quick, but it also like kept the match moving along. Like,
yeah,
so.
I didn't mind it.
But he said at the start of the second interval, there's going to be a coin toss. And I was thinking, what, are they going to stop the match and toss the coin? But no, they did it in the back. So
apparently,
they cleared that up. But yeah, I was like, what are they going to do with this coin? Both guys are going to be in a heated battle, and they're just going to stop it and, let's flip the coin now.
As they're sweating and bloodied.
Yeah.
Tails. He just said a bunch of shit, and I'm like, no, it's a wrestling match.
Yeah. And then he also said the NWO has 4 members, but they won't be announcing the 4th member until he comes out. And Team WCW has 3 members. They may not have a 4th.
And Hall and Nash are representing the NWO alongside the man who turned his back on WCW, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I'm not sure why you'd have Giant waste his time with Savage if you know this match is coming up. Like, if you were Hogan and you were the leader of the NWO, wouldn't Giant, Hall, and Nash be a better team?
I thought he was. But we can see why they did what they did.
Yeah. So Scott Hall and Arn Anderson started off the match, and I was in heaven for 5 whole minutes. It was fantastic. Dusty was cheering for Arn to kick Hall in the dick, which I thought was funny. Get him there! And yeah, Hall and Nash have a phenomenal 5 minutes. Then Nash comes out, and it's a multi-person match after that. Hall and Nash destroy Anderson completely. And then Luger cheats. He comes out 30 seconds early. Gets in the ring, 10 seconds early?
Yeah, they kind of all did that, though.
I don't think so.
Well, not that extreme.
Yeah, Luger didn't know how to count. They all came in a little early, yeah, but
he was the longest one.
Yeah, crazy. Luger picks up Hall and starts using him as a battering ram on the cage, and the cage almost broke. Hogan hits the ring, and Anderson rips his shirt off, and the fans lose it. And Flair came out, and he challenged Hogan immediately. Then Flair takes out some knucks, beats everybody up, and it turns the tide for WCW. And finally, it's time for the NWO's 4th man to come out. And who is it? Sting. With absolutely no build-up whatsoever. They just said, oh, it's Sting. They didn't cut to the entrance to see who was coming out. There's no music. Dejected. I guess. I think they could have done better than that. I know he turned on Nitro, but still. So just as the clock runs out for the WCW's 4th man, the real Sting comes out. And Sting beats up the NWO and fake Sting single-handedly. Then he says, up yours to Luger, and then he leaves. So after that, the NWO regain control. Hogan hits Luger with his leg drop, then bites his face. Then fake Sting applies the sharpshooter to Luger while Hogan applies a front face lock. Then I guess Luger gave up. They didn't really clarify that. But actually they did. They said he passed out.
Yeah.
And then Nash kicks a defenseless Luger after the bell. He was still in the hold, and Nash just felt the need to kick him anyway. And the NWO are announced the winners. And they kick Luger out of the ring, and Luger crawls to the back on his hands and knees, yelling, Stinger!
While reaching out.
Well, yeah, reaching out. Pathetic. Then Hogan and the rest of the NWO, keep in mind they kicked him out of the ring, so then they chase him down and then just beat his ass some more. Flair and Anderson come to Luger's defense, and Savage comes out of nowhere. Then the Giant appears, and he attacks Savage from behind. Savage gets a choke slam. And then we see Miss Elizabeth coming out, and she begs Hogan to not hurt Randy Savage. Hogan starts screaming at Elizabeth while Giant choke slams Savage again. Then Elizabeth, she actually gets on top of Savage and covers him. So then Hogan spray paints Elizabeth. Then he gets Elizabeth's face and tells her that she's nothing, while the Giant barks at her like a dog.
Literally.
Then he grabs a microphone. He calls Savage and Elizabeth losers and lowlives. He says Savage and Elizabeth took an oath that said death to us part. NWO is going to make that happen tonight. He calls Savage and Elizabeth 2 pieces of trash, and he spits on Elizabeth.
He did do a lot of spitting, but that was the wildest one.
And then, of course, we end the show with Hogan posing while Elizabeth protects Savage while fans throw trash in the ring. Then the Giant paints NWO on Randy's back, and Hogan says they're the best thing going and spits in the camera. And Savage gets another chokeslam. God damn, Randy. What did he do to deserve this? He's always getting his ass beat.
Yeah.
It's like every pay-per-view, he just gets fucked up. Elizabeth ends up in the corner. There's a referee just kind of shielding her. So Nash, he slowly approaches the referee and just knocks him out of the ring. And it's just Elizabeth alone with the NWO. And then they cut away the camera. At this point, Miss Elizabeth, or Elizabeth Poffo, or whatever the fuck her real name is, better thank sweet Jesus that this is not real life, because the NWO would have turned her into Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good for her.
So Shivani, Dusty, and Heenan close out the show. And they're shocked that the NWO is presumably having their way with Elizabeth right now. They're saying, she's alone. Somebody get in there. Although they're not doing anything.
Yeah, someone's got to get her out of there.
So then they speculate about Sting and Luger and the fate of WCW. And then the NWO come and they chase away the commentary team. And they take over the rest of the show. And I think the Giant at one point said he wanted a Mongo McMichael's dog.
I did not hear that. Okay. I wouldn't put it past him, though.
And then the pay-per-view really ends with Miss Elizabeth helping Randy to the back to treat his injuries.
After they were done with her.
After they were done with her. I'm surprised she could
yourself
walk.
off and buy yourself something nice.
Yeah. She's painted and spit on.
Yeah.
That's just what they showed on TV. Yeah, the Giant and Nash in there. You know. You know they spit roasted her.
Yeah, they did.
They just stood while she spinned. They're really good at building anticipation for the main events, I think. Like all throughout the pay-per-view, they were mentioning the war and, you know, Sting's possible defection to the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how the main event turns out, I like how they build up the anticipation.
And they kept playing like the video packages. Oh, this is WCW where the big boys play.
It's redundant, but at least you can't say that you're not informed going in.
Yeah.
To some degree. And I like how they didn't show the real Sting or fake Sting's face until real Sting entered the War Games match. Like even when he pleaded with Lex Luger, they just showed the back of Sting's head. And when the fake Sting came out, they just showed like wide screenshots. Mm-hmm. They never did a close up of his face, even though that there were fans saying they want Sting when the fake Sting was out.
Yes, they were chanting that.
And fun fact, that Sting was Cobra. Remember Cobra?
Oh, from the first pay-per-view we watched?
Yeah. Oh. Pittman did the army crawl.
Yeah. Small world.
Yeah. And yeah, the Nick Patrick stuff is great. The Sting stuff is great too. Because after this, he has a really good promo on Nitro where he basically says, I've been the backbone of this company. He addresses the fans too. And for all of you, for all this time, one little thing happens and you immediately just assume the worst of me. Well, fuck all of you. I'm going to go away for a while. I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse and keep my eye on things. But I don't know. When you see me, things might be different. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And that's when he goes away.
And this is what led to the Crow Sting?
This is, yeah.
Okay.
Luger.
That's the question I had.
Luger being attacked by fake Sting and automatically thinking that Sting would do that and the fans believing that Sting would do that, and everybody else just turning on Sting caused Sting to just lose his shit.
And yeah, he was just crow Sting, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a good story.
It is. It's great.
Like, I told you it wasn't me, and you didn't believe me. So, even though, as you said, you looked right at me and saw it was me, but it wasn't me, and I told you it wasn't me.
Clearly. How can the fans who are 50 feet away, they can tell it's not me, but you can't? We traveled the road together. So some of the bad, I already said how the commentary sold Sting. I thought the end was really long. Went on forever.
Talking about after the match?
Yeah, like they were terrorizing Elizabeth, and they came to the commentary area. Like, okay. And
Yeah, I
then
think the commentary part could have been cut out and just like end it with them.
It should have had them all like just slowly approaching Elizabeth, and then it fades out with the little WCW logo.
Yeah. Oh, what's gonna happen? Find out next week. We'll see you tomorrow night. Find out what happened to Elizabeth. Where the big boys play.
Shows the giant like ripping her dress or something.
Yeah. I mean, she could have taken a leg drop at least. That would have been good.
And finally, there was no Dean Malenko. I don't know how WCW made a dime off this pay-per-view without the Man of 1,000 Holds. But that was Fall Brawl. This is the genesis of Crow Sting.
There you go.
And I believe Halloween Havoc is our next WCW pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because they had like...
Yeah, because they were... Yeah. But first, we have WrestleMania to contend with. That's going to be a fun one. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor is our main event. Obviously, that received mixed reviews. And for the WWF Championship, we have Shawn Michaels versus Diesel. And I'm pretty sure Pamela Anderson is with Shawn or Diesel. She's with
there. They're there, I should say. Oh, you guys know what I'm talking about.
For the Intercontinental Championship, Razor Ramon faces JEFF, JARRETT. And I think the Roadie's there too. So we get to see the Road Dogs first WrestleMania. And for the tag team titles, we have Smoking Guns versus Owen Hart and a mystery partner. So that should be fun.
Still crazy to me that Bam Bam is in the main event.
Yep. And Taker is back, and he's wrestling King Kong Bundy.
Oh. I don't remember too much of this WrestleMania, if I'm being honest. I might have skipped it.
I remember moments. Like, I remember the Razor and Jarrett match. I remember Owen's tag team partner. And I remember Shawn and Diesel and the girls.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think I had to miss this one. I say miss it, but I had to watch it with the little static. Pretty much you get the audio only.
Right.
And like seeing the little figures every once in a while. Oh, you guys probably won't know about that. Let us know in the comments below if you do.
But yep, WrestleMania will be next week.
I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about. So on that note, if you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments below. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on all the social medias. Again, if you're going to buy the new Drew McIntyre shirt or any other shirt, in the description past the like button, we do have the affiliate link. And until next time, Top Guys out.